I want people to understand a little bit more why I say immigration is not the issue that Canada is facing, specifically when it comes to the housing crisis. And there is a bit of nuance and context that you need to understand in order to get like the whole picture. Number one is that Canada heavily relies on immigration. And if we were to significantly curve immigration, we would be trading off one crisis for another. And I think we can agree that nobody wants that. Specifically, when it comes to international students, a lot of people are under this impression that people would come to Canada, get educated, and then go home. And that's just completely false. The only selling point for people to come and get educated in Canada in many cases is that it provides a clear path to permanent residency. And there's a very specific reason why the number of international students has increased over the last few years. And that is because they are footing the bill for Canadian citizens to get educated. Public universities in this country are extremely underfunded, and they have told the government repeatedly, time and time again, that if they were to make any significant cuts to international students, the government's going to be liable for billions and billions of dollars in order for Canadians to continue to get the education they are at the price they are currently paying. And so here's the thing. If we start telling the international community that you can come here and get educated, but we're not going to provide you with a pathway to PR, of course, we are going to see significantly less international students here, but we are going to run into an entirely new crisis altogether. And so how does this relate to housing? Well, there's a lot of investors who have seen the opportunity in Canada because a lot of international students and immigrants are coming to this country who do not have the money to buy a house. Therefore, they end up renting. And it is like a free flow of customers for investors. They can buy up tons of properties and they know that they're going to have people to rent them. And the market becomes extremely dominant because there are a lot of people looking for places to live. And when you can charge exorbitant prices for rent, that drives up the price that the investor is willing to pay for that home. And in turn, when people are looking to purchase a house simply for their family, that obviously is going to drive the price up for them too. And so the reason we're in the situation that we're in is because for decades, our government has not been able to come up with a strategy in order to accommodate tons of people coming into our country. And that is not the fault of international students or immigrants. And it would also be really fiscally irresponsible to all of a sudden cut immigration numbers or cut the number of international students. Like I said at the start of this video, we can't trade off one crisis for another. The other aspect of this is that the idea of just building more and more homes is also not going to fix the issue at all. Because as more and more people come into this country, investors are going to keep buying up real estate knowing that they can charge exorbitant prices for rent, knowing that they are going to be able to make great dollars off of their investments. And that's where this government and all the governments before have really dropped the ball, because we could have built tons of social housing for the last 30 years and continued to build it to this day to support mass migration coming into our country. And instead of having to subsidize everything, they could have been making money off of those real estate investments, because real estate over time pays for itself, and they could have been making money off of that investment. And yes, there's upkeep and fees that go along with keeping real estate, but in the long term, we could have had a much better solution. And that doesn't mean to say that people would have to stop investing in real estate. There would still be investors, of course, but it could significantly slow the market down and make it less competitive. Because if international students and immigrants can access housing at a much lesser cost, that means an investor is not going to be able to charge whatever they want. They're going to have to be competitive. But that's only one suggestion. What I'm really saying is we are really in a catch-22. We cannot slow immigration. We cannot significantly cut the number of international students. And yet, housing prices are going to continue to rise because investors know that they can make money. And so we would just be trading off, again, one crisis for another. And that is not going to happen. I don't think any government wants to actually do that. But again, no government is actually proposing any kind of solution to the problem.